Driving. Water.
I'm just waiting.
You don't.
We are going to start this meeting. It's exactly 5:30. We do have some individuals online. Angela, would you tell us who is online this evening?
Lauren Mitchell, Matt Anderson, Tim Austin, and Tony.
Okay, so we're going to start out with a roll call. We'll kind of let you know, we're fairly small, thin PC group this evening. There's three of us here. I'm actually the vice president, but I'm sitting in for the chair this evening. And we have two members online. So we do have enough for a quorum, which that's the most important for you as an applicant. So the first thing we do is roll call. Let's do the roll call online if we could, whoever's online.
Lance Inholm, District 2.
Thank you.
Tony Motts, District 3.
Hey, Tony.
Wayne Brown's District 2.
Cindy Watson, District 1.
And Jacob Gray, District 3.
Thank you. And I don't believe, Brittany or Angela, we have any notes to approve from last. Okay, so there's no notes to approve. We're going to kind of give you a little rundown of how we do this if you haven't actually come to a planning commission meeting before. We try to keep it informal. If you are wanting to speak, when we get to the public comment section, there's a little clipboard right there. If you have your question answered, when it comes your time, we don't make you come up and just decide to talk for 3 minutes. We do ask when you do come up, if you could limit it to 3 minutes, it would help out. Being that we're such a small group tonight, I'm not going to be so critical on that, but we do ask that if we could, okay? We don't have any agenda to or meeting notes to approve at this particular meeting. So here's how it runs is that Sean will give us the staff report based on the applicant and what the proposal is in their project. From there, we as the PC members will ask questions of the staff. So we have two people online. There'll be the three of us that will ask questions of the staff. From there, we will many times ask the applicant if they would like to come up. We may address you with some questions, et cetera. And then from there, we will then open it to public comment. Public comment, you can come up. You would want to state your full name, address, et cetera, when you come up, please, and speak into one of the speakers. We will then deliberate after we do public comment. So after you do public comment, it's not like you're able to re-enter public comment again. We're going to let you do it that one time and then go from there. We'll deliberate. And at that point, we'll discuss the project and recommendations. We are a board that we're not here to approve you or to tell you what you need to do. Think of us as a screening board where you're here to kind of get yourself prepared. So when you go to the Board of County Commissioner and you have their meeting, you're more prepared when you're there and you don't feel like somebody says, oh, I wish I would have known that, or I forgot to somebody tell me that. That's what our job is. Okay, sound good? Let's have some fun. There's only a few of us this evening, so let's have some fun with this. John, if you want to start out with the staff report, sir.
So tonight is project 24-52 for a conditional use permit for guest ranch, campground, restaurant, event venue for Honey Rock Landing, the Dominguez Canyon. It's approximately 14 miles from like downtown Delta out to Dominguez Canyon Road. I'm sure a lot of you are probably familiar with the location on Highway 50. It's about 3 miles on Dominguez Canyon Road off Highway 50 to get down to the entrance to the orchard. It passes by two other residences on down here on Groves Road. See where it's just circled there. Other than that, there are two other orchards past that orchard on Dominguez Canyon Road. So it's a fairly remote area. With not a lot of residences down there. We'll go over the scope of this project because it's a lot. There's a lot going on here. A lot of land use is being applied for. And then I'll try to highlight some of the more pertinent issues for your consideration. So this is a site plan, a site map for all of the development. What's highlighted up there right now are the guest lodging area, the event and dining space, which is labeled B on the site plan, and the wedding site that's over by the river that's outlined in red. So that's where those facilities kind of lay out. I'm assuming you're familiar from your staff report about all these facilities, but I'm just trying to go over them from a site plan to give you an idea of where they lay out. That third area I just highlighted, that's labeled L, is also, those are guest facilities. So that's where all the guest facilities are at. It's where the dining facilities are at, and the wedding venue over along the river. There are, somebody's moving my mouse. There are more of these little cave dwellings that are kind of here by this area, if you can see my mouse, and then over here as well, along to the right. The area just outlined right now is the kind of a top of a hill. That's where there are 9 glamping sites and 5 RV camping sites. Those are labeled X and S on the site plan. And then lastly, there's an RV campsite down here by the river that's being proposed. So those are all kind of like the lodging and camp site facility locations that are being considered. With regard to the guest lodging, there's 6 of these cave suites. So they're caves, the cave suites, they're in the rock, the sandstone rock, with kitchenettes. And there's some employee housing and so forth, but what's pertinent is that all the guest units have appropriately sized parking areas designated for them. However, there are no handicap areas that have been designated yet. GIS has also provided instructions for road naming and addressing to get to all these units. Septic systems have been permitted by environmental health for these locations that are all clustered together here, A, B, C, D, and E, and F. All of that has, they have permitted septic systems for those uses. This other location, the smaller locations outlined in red, L, those are not constructed yet and will not yet have septic systems. With regard to water, there was a previous well permit designated for all of that development that has septic, but I believe that those well permits are needing to be changed and updated.
And that's one of the requirements, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's already on there.
Any of these facilities to be approved will have to demonstrate some adequate water and septic and access and address. The glamping and RV sites, there are, like I said, 9 glamping sites along the hillside marked X. There are in the area marked S, there's 5 RV sites proposed, and then down along the river, there are another 5 sites proposed. Construction's not begun on any of these. They're planned for next year. No water or septic yet to any of these locations, and of course, appropriate designs and permits will be required for approval for all these developments. This RV site by the river is a matter for the Planning Commission's consideration. We'll discuss that here just a little bit more in a minute. I think if you've read your packet, you'll kind of get an idea of the total occupancy of of all of these facilities. But the glamping sites, the occupancy per site could host up to 4 guests, 36 guests per night, then total for the glamping area. That could equate to 252 guests per week. This is maximum capacity. So
Correct.
There are 2 bathhouses planned to service that glamping area, and also the RV park that's up there on the hill adjacent to that glamping area. The RV park sites down by the river are not intended to, well, there will be power, I believe, and also water hookups for those sites that are being proposed. But no dump stations, so no septic hookups for those sites.
Is that because they're right by the river, I would assume? More than anything else, environmental?
It's just the decision of the developer to not provide, hookups to septic systems for those.
Okay.
But on this plan, it's planned to have a bathhouse adjacent to that area. But I didn't see that in some other parts, so I'm not clear if there was an intended bathhouse.
Yeah, it's, if we can get it above the flood elevation, possibly, but I think, we may not install that.
Okay. So we'll come back to this, but that proposed RV site is in the 100-year floodplain. So that'll be a consideration of how you want to make a recommendation to the commissioners. Again, with regard to hospitality events and occupancy, there's pretty significant numbers here. It's hard to kind of specify exactly what the numbers will be. There's the minimum possible, and then there's the maximum. But they're hosting community events and fundraisers. They're currently hosting about 5 events annually, but projected community events could be anywhere from 15 to 30 events annually. Of approximately 35 to 100 event. The cave suite lodging projections would be open 39 weeks or 9 months of the year. Anywhere from 2 to 90 guests, at full occupancy at any given time. So there's quite a range of estimated annual lodging occupancy there. But again, this is just kind of an overview of what's in your packet there to kind of open up discussion and kind of, get a sense of the scope of the project. They also are planning farm to table dinners, 39 weekly dinners annually, open both to guests and community members, anywhere from 8 to 50 guests per event. And then there's a U-Pick program they run 3 days a week for 6 weeks annually, anywhere from 35 to 100 guests per day. So obviously, the main impact and consideration with all of this is, the increased use of Dominguez Canyon Road, and the increased traffic on that road. And the increased traffic at the intersection of Highway 50 and Dominguez Canyon Road, which CDOT has some comments about. But that's the overall kind of site plan, projected occupancy and services. Just to note, there's no limits that have been proposed by the applicant in terms of like parameters for hours or maximum people per event or max events per year. These are projections that have been provided in the application, but they're not proposing any limits. In recent event venue applications, we've had applicants who propose limits to like the number of events per year or the hours of operation and so forth. And a lot of times that was precipitated from traffic studies. They didn't want to exceed the 20% traffic impact, increase. And so they proposed numbers, and restrictions upon themselves that then we reviewed and, passed on in the conditions of approval. This application doesn't have those. And so that's just something for you.
Is it based on where they're at, Sean, because of the whole, they're not near neighborhoods or subdivisions, and I mean, where they're at, it's pretty remote.
We can ask the applicant
Okay.
that, but there's no requirement in the land use code for there to be
No.
restrictions on hours
No.
or number of events or number of guests.
Mhm.
Again, where the other applications that we've handled recently have self-limited, it's mostly because they hit that trigger point of going over 20% increase on the
Right.
road. And they wanted to stay below that because it had implications for them that were very costly. So. In general, this proposed development aligns very well with the master plan in terms of the county's core values of supporting agriculture through agritourism, local foods, diversifying revenue streams for agricultural operations, making profitable use of natural resources, and promoting county recreation and tourism. All that stuff's in our master plan. This kind of development aligns very strongly with those. In terms of the proposed land use activities, lodging, campgrounds, events, all are permissible on private property in A35 zoning district in Delta County. So provided they provide adequate water, meet sanitation and access requirements, don't pose undue environmental or public health and safety issues that cannot be mitigated. This is a permissible use of their property. So in your staff report, the relevant sections of the land use code that pertain to the proposed uses have been cited and accounted for. Regulatory standards have either been met or are cited in the draft conditions of approval. And in the report, particular issues of impact or environmental or public health and safety are in red text boxes. So I did that to draw your attention to that. Did that help? But,
Yeah, pretty easy to follow.
so let's quickly kind of look at the sections of the land use code that have been accounted for, and along the way discuss. Oh, I probably should be advancing slides, huh? Oh, good. Keep me honest, Brittany. With regard to chapter 2, zoning districts and land use by zoning district, all the proposed activities, like I said, are permissible in the A35 zoning district. With regard to special events standards that are called out in chapter 2, they've either been accounted for or applied in the conditions for approval. Also in chapter 2, there are standards for campgrounds. Again, the RV site by the river is an issue for the planning commission's consideration. I'll give more details about that in a second. With regard to chapter 3 in lots, buildings, and structures, the only comment I have there really is the structures that are along the Gunnison River, like the wedding site. Those structures must be 50 feet from the river. And so what would help there is to just put that on the site plan, a dimension setback from the river. Also, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers provided the following comment in relation to the construction near the river. Given the location of this project in close proximity to the Gunnison River, it is likely that these construction activities may impact waters of the United States, including wetlands. Honey Rock LLC should request a pre-application consultation from this office prior to construction. So the developer, as I understand it, has a water infrastructure engineer working with the Army Corps of Engineers as requested.
Yeah.
In chapter 4, with regard to site design, road access and circulation, the engineering has looked at the plan and has no further comments and approves of the existing roads that are on the site plan. GIS, like I said, has looked at the proposed roads and all of the facilities and has provided some instruction on how those roads can be named and how addresses can be assigned to all of the facilities. Parking looks good. It's just we need some EDA specified areas that can be done on the site plan as well. With regard to hazards, geologic and floodplain, the developers provided excellent erosion, stormwater, and drainage reports that are in your report. And geotechnical and soils reports that account for the mitigation of potential hazards and the proper management of stormwater. With regard to environmental quality, again, the developer submitted an improved stormwater management plan, dust control plan. That dust control plan only pertains to their property, not necessarily the county road. And county exterior lighting requirements are in the draft conditions. Again, the RV campsites in the floodplain, so that. With regard to chapter 5, public facilities, infrastructure and services. A traffic impact study, level 1 was submitted. As usual, traffic impacts are one of the primary concerns for other users of Dominguez Canyon Road, other residents off of Dominguez Canyon Road. The increased traffic, the washboarding, dust, and so forth. And, you know, you can't always control drivers' behavior. People tend to barrel down that road when they can. But with regard to water supply, there's some work to be done, but it's accounted for in the conditions that obviously, like all of these venues that we condition, they need to prove adequate water supply, adequate in terms of quality, quantity, and dependability before approval. So the water decree that they have for the property would appear to have sufficient rights to supply water to all the proposed facilities and uses. However, the current augmentation plans do not align with or adequately cover the proposed developments and uses. So the developer has stated that they are working with the Department of Natural Resources with the help of their water rights attorney on an application for underground water rights and to request approval of the plan for augmentation. So condition 7A in the conditions, draft conditions of approval states that prior to operations, the developer shall provide evidence of adequate water supply that is sufficient in terms of quality, quantity, and dependability. And evidence of the water supply must be approved by Delta County Public Health. So those well permits need to be corrected and then approved by Department of Natural Resources. With regard to chapter 7, the standard review process, referrals were sent to all relevant agencies and adjacent property owners. A neighborhood meeting was conducted according to the requirements, and public notice was appropriately posted. What else would I like to say here?
Hold on one second.
Yes.
Lance, can you and Tony hear okay online? Tony, can you hear us? We can see a picture of you, but I can't hear you.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Okay,
All right.
good. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Want to make sure you can hear okay.
So let's focus on some kind of critical issues of impact for your consideration here. First is the fire district provided some recommendations that the road widths be a minimum of 26 feet for fire trucks and other firefighting equipment. I think, you know, it's an orchard, they bring semis in to pick up fruit. So there's a pretty substantial road width throughout the
Right.
throughout the main arteries of the property. They also recommended the installation of a cistern for firefighting purposes, dependent upon the gallons per minute of, you know, provision of wells. And anyway, they recommended an installation of a cistern for firefighting. And then lastly, they recommended automatic sprinklers in all overnight guest areas. Kind of question whether or not that's feasible or necessary. They are caves, and if there's a cistern to supply, you know, for water suppression, perhaps that could be sufficient. With regard to traffic impacts, I was a little surprised. I guess I should learn to not be surprised by CDOT anymore, but there's a huge, you know, intersection out there with acceleration lanes and deceleration turn lanes, so forth. But we send all these applications to CDOT for the review comments, and they actually missed it during the referral period. It got buried in their inbox, and then they were late to supply comments. So actually the comments that are in your report are not their latest comments.
Oh.
Their latest comments are that the turn lane lengths are substandard at that intersection at Highway 50. Despite what the level 1 traffic study from the developer says. Basically, I don't know if you're familiar with this road at all or been down that part of Highway 50. When you come out from Dominguez Canyon Road onto Highway 50, they're concerned about the line of sight for the decel lane that's coming, toward Delta, and the acceleration lane and its length, whether that's sufficient. So essentially, they're requiring a level 2 traffic study that includes the turn lane analysis, sight distance analysis, background traffic growth, distribution, peak hour volumes.
Okay.
So that's been provided to the applicant. I think they've already contacted them. Because I just talked to CDOT today about this matter and they said that they've been in touch with them.
Good.
County engineering, I sent them public comments because most of the public comments focused on the increased traffic to Dominguez Canyon Road and the impacts on the road, the impacts to, their homes along the road, those that are on Groves Road before you get to the orchard, and just concerns about dust and the driving behavior of people that take the road. County engineering and road and bridge. One of the comments or suggestions from the public was to consider chip and seal. County engineering would not recommend chip and seal. They believe it would not endure applied over gravel road. So it's very unlikely that would be something they would do. There is a substantial gully in the middle of the road that during, heavy downpours washes out. They're aware of that. They regularly grade this road, probably 5 or 6 times a year. And then those 5 or 6 times, 2 or 3 of those times, they spend probably, 4 to 7 days doing the grading. It's a long road. I suspect it's about 4.5 or 5 miles, all the whole length of it. So it's a lot to grade. So they're looking at that gully. They're studying to determine the cost, the benefit of maybe a cement box culvert or a cement basin to put in there. It's been something they've talked about in the past, even before this development. We discussed a little bit the application maybe of mag chloride on the curve at Groves Road, maybe, but with all the grading that takes place, it sort of compromises that as a dust suppression strategy. And then another suggestion that comes up in public comments, that I talked with them about was the possibility of putting signage on the road, for the speed limit. But kind of the consensus there is that getting compliance and enforcement is not something easy to control. So it may do some good. It might probably won't do much good. So it's not a very patrolled area. Let's see. So that's the fire emergency plan, traffic impacts. Let's talk about the RV campsite by the river. The land use code in chapter 2 includes Colorado regulations for campgrounds by reference in the land use code, providing standards for campgrounds. The state regs have a section that says the site shall not be located in an area subject to periodic flooding, nor located adjacent to such locations which would constitute a health or safety hazard. In the county regs, it says the site shall not be located in an area subject to periodic flooding. Periodic, in this case, is any area located in a FEMA designated special flood hazard area. So that RV campsite is in a special flood hazard area. It's in a 100-year floodplain. That's what it says on the floodplain maps that are current. It also says that on the the floodplain study and floodplain model that was provided by the developer's engineer. That said, I did reach out and speak to CDPHE about this and ask them, you know, I mean, you can get on the map and you can find campgrounds that are in floodplains here in Delta County and Montrose County. So I was asking, you know, what would be possible ways to permit this when it's very clear in our regs, county and state, that we're not to permit these kinds of campgrounds in floodplains. There is precedent to defer to local jurisdictions to exercise cautious discretion with documented mitigation measures and allow for such things. Like they gave an example for of an RV or a campground that didn't meet like the road width requirements, but the local jurisdiction provided evidence from first responders that they didn't have a problem with the road width, that they could get in and out for emergency response with their vehicles, and that was good enough to, you know, proceed. So some sort of a course like that could possibly be taken, but I mean, my job is to tell you what the regs say. Your job is to make a recommendation to the commissioners, and so I'll leave it at that.
Exactly.
If you were to make a recommendation of approval, I have prepared a couple of conditions that you could consider. Okay. So staff recommends that the project 2452 Honey Rock LLC complies, to recommend that you find that it complies with the land use code for a guest ranch, lodging, RV park, campground, restaurant, and event venue. Requiring a conditional use permit. And by the way, all of those uses separately are a limited use permit, but taken all together, I thought it was well to elevate it to a conditional use permit. And also recommend that you approve project 2452 Honey Rock Landing for a conditional use permit.
Okay.
I can go through the conditions of approval if you'd like now, or we could turn it over to
I think that would be
Applicant.
helpful, don't you? Jacob? Yeah, you could please.
So project 2452 is approved for a guest ranch lodging. These are draft conditions, by the way, for everybody, these for your consideration. At the property located at parcels numbers given, operations shall be in accordance with the approved plans and supplemental documentation to the satisfaction of the Director of Community Development, including but not limited to Honey Rock Landing narrative. So the narrative they submitted of their intended plans and the Honey Rock Landing master site plan. I would add that we would like to get the dimensions for the wedding site setback from the river and ADA parking sites added to the site plan. And then any modification, any significant modification shall require an amendment to be considered by the Planning Commission and Board of County Commissioners. Number 2, plants identified through, it's our standard Colorado Noxious Weed Act condition. Oh, thank you. Thanks. Number 2, yeah, so the plants identified through the Colorado Noxious Weed Act and Delta County Noxious Weed List as undesirable and designated for management within the county shall be removed. Number 3, outdoor lighting shall be hooded and shielded, cut off so as to not cast light or glare onto adjacent properties or upwards in a manner that dilutes the night sky. Number 4, the venue owner shall comply with the Colorado state liquor laws. Number 5, the operation shall not exceed noise thresholds set by the statute mentioned here. Maximum permissible noise levels, which limits commercial use to a sound level of 60 decibels during the hours of 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., 55 decibels during the hours of 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. at 25 feet from the property boundary. Number 6, and this is, I've modified this from what's in your packet. A level 2 traffic study shall be completed that provides peak hour volumes, turn lane analysis, site analysis, background traffic growth, distribution, etc., per the CDOT levels of study memo. So CDOT provided different types of levels, traffic level 1, 2, 3,
Okay.
and what needs to be included in a level 2. An access permit at Highway 50 would be required from the Colorado Department of Transportation for the development. Prior to operations, the developer shall provide the county with a copy of the finalized CDOT access permit. Number 7, prior to the operation of each recreation and hospitality facility, thank you, and activity, the owner shall obtain the following final approvals related to the subject facility or activity. Evidence of adequate water supply that is sufficient in terms of quality, quantity, dependability, approved by Delta County Public Health. Completed OWTS permits from Delta County Public Health, completed access permits from Delta County Engineering, site construction approval from Delta County Planning, and fire emergency plan from Delta County Planning.
Okay.
Number 8, the owner shall submit an annual report to the county by January 15th of each year to include the number of events held, number of attendees, review the decibel logs. Just to note, on condition 5, I didn't include the requirement to keep decibel logs. So if we want to require that,
Back
then
in.
we need to amend this one or include it in number 5. Responses to any complaints, any proposed changes to operations or site plans to ensure compliance with the permit. This will also include an annual site visit to review the property and conditions of the permit issue. Then I added number 9. Sorry, I just didn't get that in the draft conditions for the packet, but all development in the special flood hazard area shall obtain a floodplain development permit.
Okay.
And who's that through? The floodplain?
Us, yeah,
We
just
just made-
floodplain administrator.
Which is Sean.
It's me.
Thank you.
All right. That's it for the presentation. The applicant is here, the owner is here, and the project manager. He also has a slide deck which I can share.
Okay. Colby,
So
welcome.
video right here.
You're gonna sit right in front of us, sir, right there.
The only thing is so I can see the,
Okay, if you want to sit at that end seat or whatever,
Okay.
we're gonna be really soon. You bet.
a lot of these are ones that.
Can everybody hear him unless, or do we need to move a speaker near him? Okay, there we go. Thank you very much, sir.
Right.
Thank you.
You guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so the next slide. Well, I can't read those from here, but I'll just kind of paraphrase a lot there, yeah. So I can read the big one, not the small text, but we're born and raised, my wife and I, in Grand Junction. So we're Western Colorado natives. We live, part-time at the orchard, but part-time in Telluride. We got 4 kids. We bought this orchard back in 2018, went from conventional to organic and now do regenerative practices there. So we're really trying to build up the soil. And one of the things we found as we were farming is people really wanted to be part of that. Like they wanted to come see how their food is grown. They wanted to do that kind of stuff. So we started doing U-Picks. It was really successful. Some limited fundraisers and farm to table dinners and stuff like that. And the response was just really good. Like I think people want to be, most orchards are pretty much closed to the public. And so to provide that venue where people can come and actually experience this was something we really wanted to do. It also really helps with the economics of farming. We freeze out every few years, and that's, other than insurance proceeds, those are rough years. Having people come down and do some of this hospitality stuff can really smooth our kind of revenue stream. So it helps make the farm more resilient. So let's see. Current operations, I can't really read that, but as we mentioned,
Here, I'll give you mine.
yeah. Thanks. Sorry about that. I'm usually going off my computer, so. Thank you. Yeah, so I mentioned we do, how do I do that? Yeah, so wholesale fruit, we're doing through Rogers Mesa. We're doing the U-Pick, we've got a market garden, we're doing bees. We have chickens that run through the orchards to help with pest control, and then we get a lot of eggs from that. We built one large greenhouse and we're planning on doing a couple more so we can actually smooth the revenues through the winter as well. And then we do farm tours and that kind of stuff. So all this is under, current zoning for A35, all agriculturally related. Just a few photos there of some, on the top left is the orchard from the canyons above. The middle is one of our farm tours, and on the right is our cave suites that are almost done, the 3 that we have completed. And then we do a lot of stuff with Colorado Canyons. They do their fundraiser down there every year, Food Bank of the Rockies, as well as the Telluride Academy. The kids come down and learn how a farm works, and they make their own jam and sell it at the farmer's market. So just like fun stuff like that. And there's been such a huge demand for those kind of things. So what we're looking at is expanding that hospitality piece. As Sean mentioned, these underground cave suites, they're all made from rock that's on the site, and then they have a steel roof. So really climate controlled because they're underground as well. So those are kind of a fun thing to add on to the guest experience there. We have a cold storage and packing shed. These are can be dual use for events as well. So when like Colorado Canyons has their fundraiser, they use our packing shed. It's nice and cool in there. And it's again, all chipped into the bedrock. So it's kind of a neat venue. Yeah, so this is where we're at. We started in 2023, 3 are almost open. And then we're still working on the rest of those, obviously pending approval from Planning Commission. These are some more, the total count is 10. And so I think these has already been shown. One thing I wanted to note is we own 3 tax parcels down there, and I was kind of seeing like, all right, what would be used by right versus what are we asking for? And tax parcel, you can have up to 4 rentable rooms under A35. So I was looking, if you kind of like split it up just perfectly, you could have 16 rentable units down there. We're asking for 10. So it's a little bit less than what would be theoretically possible. Let's see, I think this is pretty much the stuff, we have solar power provides a good portion of our power, but we are on grid, so that helps. And then all the septic and water is all going through the proper channels in terms of water rights and those things. We are in like a dark sky area, so that's a big part of all our considerations. I think that's one of the reasons people would come down there. So keeping the lights low as well. These are a few things we've kind of already talked about. All the site maintenance and stuff would comply with erosion controls and those kind of things. Let's see. Yeah, I think a lot of these slides have already come up in the presentation, so I'll go kind of quick. Yeah. So what we wanted to do, we had a neighbors meeting, and the canyon's really special, it's quiet, and so a lot of people really like that. And so any increased use is something that gets some attention. And so what we wanted to do is go through and figure out like, how can we address some of those things? Some are not addressable because there will be more people down there. That's just something that will happen if we're approved. There already are more people down there with construction and the UPICs and that kind of stuff that we're already doing. We talked a little about the road improvements. We do a pretty good job of staying in touch with the road authorities to grade when they need to. There would be more of that for sure. Signage we talked about, we're looking at putting a sign where Groves Road turns off. That way people aren't hopefully wandering down Groves Road when they're trying to get to our place. And then the other farms down there would be signed as well, so people can do that. So what our plan is to get that a draft sign to the neighbors for everybody to approve, and then we would do that at our own cost. Property line, one of the things that came up is we don't want people wandering off our property onto it's a lot of public land around there, but there is some private. And so making sure that there's fence along most all of it, but there's some key parts that we're gonna need to make sure that, we're clear about, making sure there's not any wandering guests. The noise level thing, I'm an engineer by training, so I was trying to look at like what the decibel levels, what's the worst possible thing, and that's really kind of what we did with the numbers here. I don't see us getting 10,000 glampers down there, but if you just do the math and like, 365 days of the year, people are in our glamping sites, it goes towards that. We wanted to ask for the most that could be possible, knowing that we were gonna do much less, if that makes sense. So, I was wondering I tried to see if we threw the loudest rock concert ever at our venue, what would that sound like to our nearest neighbor? And so it basically gets to, if we were 115 decibels, which is like heavy metal at Red Rocks, right? By the time we got 3,000 feet away to our nearest neighbor, it's 55 decibels, which is actually, this is 55 decibels. Normal conversation or background music is 55 to 60. So that was something that I wanted to do that analysis, and then in the code, 600 feet is referenced in the planning code. So if you're more than 600 feet from your nearest neighbor, there's no restrictions required on events on that. So, I mean, we're 3,000 feet away, so it's kind of a big difference there, but I did wonder about the decibel level, not that we're throwing rock concerts, but if 60 decibels is normal conversation, that seems low for right on the property line. But I wanted to show here that like, worst case, it's less than conversational tone at the nearest neighbor.
How did you determine that?
It's, there's an equation, you can put in the meters away, you put the point source, decibel level, and then you can say what is it at, area 2, so.
Does it take into consideration the echo off the canyon?
Not at all. No, this is just like, kind of the rough idea kind of thing, cause like wind could affect that, the way the ground's shaped. I mean, thankfully, all our stuff is pointed towards the river. So if you're anywhere we would have a band, it's pointing away. So that should help quite a bit. But yeah, I think I want to just make that point that, not that we want to have like super loud rock concerts, we also want to make sure that we're complying with everything. So that was something analysis that we did. Light pollution, I think we're all on the same page there, downward facing, dark sky. That's what our guests would want as well. The water rights and augmentation plan, we have a decree in place. We're getting that updated to include these uses. I don't foresee any kind of issue. Getting the augmentation from Blue Mesa the last time was really easy. It's a cost every year, but not too bad. And all that's been submitted, so. Wetlands, you talked to Army Corps, nothing we're doing is gonna be in wetlands or whatever, they didn't think so either, but we'll check that box for sure. So these RV spots, down below, I spent a lot of time with the land use code. I don't know, whether I need to, re-examine my life on how much I'm reading your guys' land use code, but one of the things that it noted there was that campground and RV park are delineated separately in your land use code. And they're mentioned that they're similar, but not the same. Campgrounds cannot be in a floodplain. RV parks, there's no such restriction in the land use code. Now, that being said, the proposed restrictions of not having RVs in there when there's flood risk makes total sense. So we would be comfortable with that, but I just wanted to point out, and the difference really is that recreational vehicles have their own motive power. Whereas a campground can have yurts and tiny homes and cabins and tents and all these kind of things that are tough to move if there's a flood. Recreational vehicle park has its own motive power. So they can, if there's flood risk, if there's flood issues, they can get out of there. I even have a Venn diagram on this, but basically saying that campgrounds include all of those things. The RV park only includes stuff that has its own motor or a motor that can get it out of there. So it's the faster egress. And I think that's why the rules kind of, say that if you look at Delta County's floodplain regulations, there's no mention of campgrounds, because you probably shouldn't have a campground in a floodplain. There is mention of how RVs can be stored in those areas, kind of implying that, hey, if you do it properly, it's something that could be there. So, anyway, I won't go too far into that, but that was the thought process. And then I just wanted to point out here too, this is the new, we did a full floodplain analysis of our portion of the canyon, including river soundings and a HEC-RAS and all this kind of stuff. This is kind of what that floodplain looks like. And so the RV park that we're proposing is partially but not completely in that floodplain. And then all the egress out of it is not in it. Now, this is the Lomer. This isn't what would be on Delta County's floodplain maps right now. This is the update based on the analysis that we've done that we would submit to FEMA. So just to be clear, this isn't recorded yet. I think it's in Sean's inbox. We sent it today or yesterday or something.
Today.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Yep.
so just kind of showing that, like, in no scenario is that RV park not in a floodplain, but all the egress is out there. And I think, at least my reading of the code is that campgrounds can't be there, but a campground is different than an RV park, specifically as it relates to floodplain. So, and we actually had the original plan here was to have all the glamping down by the river, because it's like super awesome down there. But we moved it up into the desert just because of the floodplain thing. If we've got glamping tents, we can't get 9 tents down in time, because that river, it doesn't come up super fast, but it's faster than you can react with tents. So, yeah.
In preparing the report, I'm sorry, do you mind if I ask?
Right, that's
Yeah.
My pleasure.
I noticed that there was a bathhouse down by the RV park at the river. Is that
Right.
intended?
So that would be either we put it in the plans because there's a possibility we do it. If we did it, it would be done to floodplain. It would be above floodplain, so elevated. But there with the septic and stuff down there, it may be really tough to do. So that may just go away. Yeah, or some kind of more transient kind of deal. So. And as Sean mentioned, there's, lots of RV parks in flood zones. That doesn't necessarily mean that, the rules were different back then, so it's not dispositive, but certainly something that's, around, so. Great.
So Mr. Barrett, if it's okay with you, we're gonna open up to some questions.
Yeah, for sure.
That don't take off yet. Sit right there.
Yep,
One of the questions I have for you, if you don't mind, the size of the units,
Yeah.
and, I mean, some people's idea of camping is, a massive Pacero.
right.
What is your limitation? Size that you can put down there, that you feel comfortable?
In terms of the
The
RV,
length of the lengths of these RVs.
yeah, I think we had just kind of standard 40 footers would be,
Okay.
our thought, but we hadn't proposed any kind of restrictions on that.
Okay, but you think you could easily handle RV?
We've set it up for that.
Okay, that's nice, okay.
And even done some like test drives with our fruit trucks.
Yeah,
to make
that's
sure
okay,
stuff
okay,
fits.
good.
But it is also there, we kind of wanted to feel a little bit private, so it's only 5 spots at each one, rather
Right.
than like, some of these RV parks are like 200 spots.
Yeah.
That's not the vibe we're going for,
Okay,
so.
perfect. Questions, Jacob?
Augmentation, you said you've already filed on that. You
Mhm.
don't foresee any issue. You've
Right.
changed it before, easy to change it again.
Yeah.
Okay. You answered my question about signage. We've done road bonds in the past. Were you guys not thinking that was necessary at the staff level?
Well, road bonds are a little tricky. They need to be.
Can you hear online what we're talking about with the road bonds? Lance, Tony? Okay, thank you.
In the cases where we have used them in the past, it's been very clear, like they need to be proportionate and fair. And so there's usually a nexus study that needs to be done to justify what the road bond amount is and what it's covering and so forth. So in this case, like that would have to be done to, if we were to do that and to calculate it. And what would it be for exactly?
Mhm.
You know, in a recent case, we applied it toward, you know, the annual application of mag chloride. That was kind of considered for this road as well for dust suppression, but it's a very long road and there's really only a particular area where the dust suppression would particularly matter to an adjacent property owner.
So would they spot,
They
mean,
could, but
they do that
then
up on 3100 road where they'll
they
do
could.
that kind of a,
But then there's the constant grading that's occurring. And in particular, that grading is occurring during the time of heavy use
okay.
in the season, you know, like the fruit season and stuff. So it would just get graded off, you know? So these were kind of considerations where we just didn't have a really clear way of applying it in this context. So does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, that's perfect.
And
Thank you.
then, fire district had some comments, that seemed a bit more stringent than their comments in the past. Did we put any of those into our conditions?
No, I didn't put them in a condition, so that's something you can consider to condition.
It seemed not necessarily out of character, but it did seem like they kind of went above and beyond compared.
They're just
Yeah,
recommending what's in the NFPA, you know, and I suppose just what seemed reasonable would be to have a cistern for fire suppression.
right.
There were three things: roads, cistern for fire suppression, and then, you know, sprinklers.
I was wondering why they needed a cistern when they could just throw a pump in the river.
We have two 10,000-gallon tanks up at the top of the hill that we just put in. So I think probably we'll hit that. The only one that would be troublesome, I think, there would be sprinkling.
Yeah.
That's pretty costly, especially when they're already done, so.
Yeah.
There's quite a lot of evacuation routes for people too.
Yes.
There's a lot of roads all around and spaces to clear away, so,
Wasn't a major concern.
So
yeah.
are you,
And they're recommendations, they're not requirements.
right, right.
That was all.
And I had a quick question. So you were thinking like down by the river,
Mm.
having like that bathhouse. Are you thinking one that, I've seen those before where they're kind of up on a trailer? You know what I'm talking about?
That's, I think,
And
the way to
and
go,
They work
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
And but you see them at a lot of events, a lot of venues, you
Mhm.
see them.
Yeah.
Instead of having a porta potty, for example,
Yeah.
they have those and the suppression of any smell or anything else, it's just amazing how well they work.
Yeah, I think that's probably the way to go. 'Cause
Yeah, I would say. that'd be
Getting
my
something in there
suggestion.
in that, the flood elevation there's only like 2 feet.
Yeah.
I think where we were at, but it's still, it's a lot. And then you need a septic field.
That's
Which
right.
has gotta be outside the floodplain, so it's
Yeah.
like there's more and more, so trailer mounted.
There's so much more prep. Because you could bring something on a trailer and if you did have, you could just,
Yeah,
they just hook right up and they're wonderful.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
okay, I just thought I might mention that if
That's a
you hadn't
great
thought
idea,
about that, 'cause
yeah.
they
Yeah.
work well. Mr. Lane, sir?
I think the applicant and Sean's group did a terrific job of preparing
Yeah.
this. I don't have any problems at all.
Let me see if anybody online. Tony, do you have any comments, sir, that you would like to ask of the applicant?
You're muted, Tony.
I
There we
think I
go.
s-
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, sir. Go ahead.
Hey, what if CDOT comes back with an unfavorable recommendation and a $2 million upgrade to the turn lanes? Is that something you guys are comfortable with?
I don't know, the CDOT thing kind of jumped up last minute there. We're certainly willing to work with them to do whatever's reasonable, but if it's a $2 million intersection, that's probably above our budget. So
Because
I don't know.
CDOT will come back with a recommendation and they don't make compromises. So that's my biggest question is if you can handle that, because I know the intersection, I know where your place is at. We ride ATVs and Jeep in that canyon and all kinds of stuff, but there are some legitimate concerns to what CDOT has said. And lately they have not been very forgiving with what they want done. That's my only question.
That's a good question of like, if CDOT comes back and says no, does that shut down everything we'd want to do, or is there like use by right stuff that we could do? I mean, we wanted to put everything in a C application, just so it's like everything's out on the table, but if we scaled it down, I guess, I don't know.
Cause what they're gonna, it was that 20% threshold, right? So,
Yeah.
like, you could show 19% or whatever. And which would mean maybe less. you know,
Yeah.
Maybe not 9, maybe 6 or something like that, so.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is kind of dependent.
it is dependent on the CDOT, is that?
Mm.
Well, CDOT had to put that acceleration or deceleration line in the first place. How can they come back and say it's inadequate now?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
They did
Because
say
of the
that, though.
traffic count, because of the number of cars that are gonna be using that access compared to the number of cars that were using it when it was put in.
That's one consideration.
The speed limit changed though too, didn't it? I think that was one of when they built it, the speed limit was 55 and then they upped it, which
It-
made the accelerations, I don't know, that's one of the things we had. the
It may
traffic
be,
engineer
but
said.
they just simply said that it's substandard, that they built it substandard. And it may have been due to a budget constraint at the time or some other consideration, or the use at the time was different than it has become.
so do we know what CDOT is proposing to this applicant?
They're asking for a level 2 traffic study
Right.
for an engineer to look at the,
Right.
I guess I wouldn't call it the southbound, it's eastbound, right? On 50 going toward Delta, that decel turn lane onto Dominguez Canyon, the line of sight appears problematic to them. They maybe don't see far enough. I don't know what you can do. You can't remove a mountain, you know, I mean, there's a big old hill that comes down there.
Yeah,
And then they wanted to look at the acceleration lane. But I think it's gonna come down to a traffic engineer working with CDOT to figure out what's doable
Mhm.
there.
Lance, sir, any questions?
I think just one, I really appreciate that applicant's presentation and everything you put together. I'm curious about what they're thinking in terms of the events that are taking place and how long they're gonna go, because there's no times put in their application of when those might end.
Yeah, so we'll be holding weddings throughout the year. These farm to table dinners would be like typically Friday or Saturday night. But those ones, I mean, we're not looking at this isn't like a Big B's kind of concept. It's more dinners and those kind of things. So if we did have any kind of band, it's not, you know, loud rock music or something like that. It's more whatever you expect at a farm to table event. Everything's really connected to the agricultural character of the place. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so and the events we've thrown so far, like most of those have been inside our packing space or on the little patio. So that's kind of the location where we've done most of our stuff.
Okay,
All right, and then I assume, but I don't want to make assumptions, that you have staff on site throughout the night.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's nodding, you can't see him nodding.
sorry, yeah.
You're gonna have to say a word.
Yeah, we staff the farm probably a little more aggressively than most. We have a lady that's in charge of just our hospitality and sales and marketing. We have a person that's dedicated exclusively to compliance issues. And then we have a farm manager on top of that, as well as all our staff. So there's a good number of staff there.
Excellent.
And I was only asking that in terms of that RV camp down by the river, if there was the
Right.
emergency or flooding, you'd have somebody there to be able to help with those.
Yeah,
Yeah, our farm manager is down there, like his house is really close to that. So probably 100 yards away. So he can kind of manage the
Okay.
alerting people. So,
Those are all the questions I have. Thank you very much.
Okay.
thank
thank
you.
you, Lance. Thank you, Tony online.
Hey, I got one more question.
Oh, yes, sir, go ahead,
How
Tony.
big a deal is it to just move everything out of that floodplain area? And just make
So.
that not a point, something you just don't have to deal with.
Yeah, I think it's a great question. Pretty much that whole area by the river is in that floodplain, even the updated one. So there's no way to experience kind of that portion of the farm without being in the floodplain. If there was a place we could pull back we would do that, and we actually did, we put most of the RV and camping up high.
And the glamping.
But it's up in the high desert, which is cool, but it's not where I would reserve. And then there's also a railroad track there, so that kind of limits how far we can go in different places. So basically we said, you know, all of the land that we can farm, we want in trees. All the stuff that we can't, that's where some of this hospitality stuff could go out there, so,
It's like approximately
Yeah.
here somewhere, right?
yep, exactly.
Any other questions, planning commission that you have of this applicant?
No, I'm good.
What are the setbacks from the railroad? Just from my.
Yeah, so we've got 100 foot from center line. We are allowed to, we lease the ground between, I think 25 feet from the center line to that 100 foot for ag purposes only. So you can have vehicle traffic, you could plant trees, those kind of things. You can't build
Mhm.
in that chunk. So even septic fields, they don't let you put that in that easement.
I would also like to add that, packet was extensive, which is
Yeah.
nice. To me, that says that you're doing your homework and you're trying to answer as many questions as you can and be prepared when you come in front of us. And I think that's what our main goal is to make sure you're prepared. I think the staff feels, that you, I don't want to use the word complied, but, met the requirements or whatever that they had. So I do appreciate that. So if we don't have any more questions of you, we're gonna let you
Okay.
step down, sir, and we're gonna open this up to public comment. Anybody who signed for public comment, feel free to come up. When you come up, if you would please tell us your name and your address. And yep, you want to sit right there at the corner. If it's easier, you go right ahead and we'd appreciate that, ma'am. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Amy Hargrave Lichtard. I live on Groves Road, so I am Colby's upriver neighbor.
Okay.
Any comments that I've made, I've written to you, and I've also told Colby.
Okay.
I don't think I'm remiss in saying that I perhaps, in representing all the neighbors in Dominguez Canyon, on Dominguez Canyon Road, in that by far the major concern is that road. Again, I was raised a Hargrave. We've had that property since the 1950s. My mother was a school bus driver for 22 years for Delta County down there, and the bus lived at my house.
Mm.
And she had to drive down the grade, which changed the year after she retired, which I thought was interesting. Anyway, our major concern is the road. You voiced all the concerns that I had addressed. The dust is an issue. We by far have the bulk of the dust issue because we're before Colby. Everybody else is after Colby. That being said, it's dust on the road. My biggest concern is the condition of the road. And while you've talked about it and you've acknowledged it, I don't hear any proposals of any solutions. Building a bridge on the crossing is not a solution. I don't think. There's a reason Wells Gulch is there. It's because it washes out. I don't know. That part's my opinion. The dust is an issue. The washboard, as I said in my comments, you grade it a lot, but it is not enough. The washboard is back in 5 days. The dust with the drought is terrible. Colby's been in construction for at least 4 years, so there's already a lot of extra traffic. The washback board is back in 5 or 6 days, so grading it is not the solution. Making it wider, it helps with safety a little bit, but it does not solve the issue. It sounds like the mag chloride suggestion was primarily for the dust. Sometimes it's a surface thing too, was my understanding, but perhaps I'm not correct in that. There's already a lot of increased traffic with construction, and it's going to be even more when if they amp up as much as they choose to with their guest ranch, which I understand. But safety is a concern. The dust and the washboard are a serious concern, and I don't hear any solutions being proposed. So I would like to voice for the neighbors, and I know there's not a lot of us, but it's a big concern. So I'd like to see a little more effort put into some solutions. Signage is only a suggestion. I'm not crazy about signs. I still can't get used to the street sign at Groves Road. It touches my eye and it's like, what? Oh, yeah, that's the street sign. Why I need a street sign, I'm not sure, but I get it. But at least it's suggestions. The locals drive just fine on that road. It's everybody else that thinks, oh, it's a gravel road. Nobody's here. Let's go. So that's a concern too. There are families on there. You have people going to weddings. You drive away from a wedding, you're pretty happy, so increased traffic, safety is an issue for us, but the condition of the road is my major concern, and it's just gonna get worse. So I would like to see some work at some solution there. Light was an issue for me. The dark is a huge asset that is hard to find, and when my lights go out, there are no lights. And that is a rare commodity, and I value that very highly. So my other concern was, as Colby mentioned, trespassing, because we are neighbors.
Oh.
And his guests need to know where the property lines are. And again, we abut BLM land, so, they can do that as they choose, but,
Do you have people that come on your land now that are down there, just public people?
yeah, they drive
Okay.
down the road. They would drive to the river that can. There are 2 no trespassing and a private road sign, and usually turns them around, but often does not turn them
Okay.
around. So,
Maybe put a welcome out there and see if it turns them around.
oh no, they see me in my coral overalls, standing on the hill at my
Yeah.
house.
I-
Like
yep,
this,
I get it.
and I walk down and.
Are you familiar with mag chloride? Have you had
Yeah, a
experience with
little
it?
bit, yeah.
Okay, I know they have done some of that, like up on 3100 in some of the spots up there with some of the permanent residents, and they up by the castle and what we call it, the castle.
Mhm,
And that has really helped because it hardens that road as well.
mhm.
And they get more longevity out of it than just doing the grading and the
Yeah, 'cause
traffic that's up
you
on
know,
that.
The grading is not cost effective for Delta
Okay.
County. I know it's not cheap to do that, and I appreciate that when they do it, but
Yeah.
it does not last. So
It's
it
a
is
short
not the
fix, is what you're
solution.
saying.
It is not the solution, so as far
Okay.
as I'm concerned, so, and, so hopefully
Okay.
that will get watched. Otherwise, appreciate your consideration. I agree. I appreciate Colby's attention to detail, and, he's a good neighbor.
Good.
Intend to keep it that way, so.
And that's what we
Those
like
are our
here too, is
concerns.
that sometimes we get applicants and neighbors that come where they haven't had that conversation. And every time you've said something, you've kind of looked back to him, and I think that says a lot about, you're both.
That being
trying to-
said, I
yeah.
really don't want more people. I'm turning into
Yeah.
my dad. It's like, what are you doing here? Why?
Totally get that. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your
this
time.
evening. You are most welcome. Do we have anybody else? Come on up, sir. Even though we know you, you have to state your name and address.
This is basically just for my own,
Sure.
first name's Chuck, last name's Cherrick. And what you guys are,
Address, please, sir.
oh, I'm sorry,
Thank you.
5607, 2000 Road,
Thank you.
Delta. The questions you're getting are just, I've watched this go around because the whole thing fascinates me. And in case you have to build something, it's always good to be on the right side of wrong. You skipped over a couple things, you talked about the decibel ratings and how far things carry. Those are things you can't really handle because of the wind. Decibels of a dirt bike like a 125cc or 250 run about 125 to 140. You can hear that for 2-3 miles, depending on which way the wind's blowing. The mag chloride thing, doesn't work. You know, I mean, you'll blow the top off of that in a couple of days. I have a construction background. And all of these people are gonna be sitting here in front of someday, not the planning commission, but the commissioners. And they're gonna want all these answers, and the commissioners aren't gonna hear, let's pave the road. That's, you know, that's just not gonna happen. And trying to keep everybody happy is, you know, there's a couple rules, one for success and a bunch for failure, and that's trying to please everybody. So what you're taking on is you're gonna have all of these people with more questions, the further they get into that. And now I have another question for you. You have a building up here with a picture with an X on it. Was that the chapel?
No. Do you know what?
I was in the beginning of Sean's presentation.
Oh, all right, let me try to pull that up.
Could it be something we eliminated?
Maybe. I was gonna say you could put floats on it if you're worried about the.
I don't know if it was in the beginning of my thing.
There was a reflection, I just saw it, and they put an X on it, and I thought it was like a wedding chapel, but
Oh, this thing here.
yeah.
Right
It's
there.
a.
It's a little
it's like a
glamping,
glamping tent.
tent.
Oh,
I think it's
okay.
what they call it.
Glamorous camp tent, the glam.
Sport camping.
Yeah,
So those are the things that you're really gonna have to look at, I think, because I see all the people that come here and, you know, a few of the guys put in wedding venues and people are selling their houses and they're really upset. And they wanna know why it was approved and everybody gets in the hot seat. And, the last thing I had on my list, all this dust and everything, does that hurt your crop?
We can get more mite pressure on our pears when we get dust. But we kind of have that already on our roads, but we've been trying to put gravel and stuff on there rather than kind of dirt that they were when we first did them. So dust is an issue for the crops, for sure.
Have you been able to find anything that works besides regular tar? Over the
Oh, for
ground?
the, what we found is,
Number seven oil?
yeah, we put gravel over most of our orchard road and that helped a little bit. Because before it was just kind of like, you know, almost hard packed dirt. That helped a little bit, but not.
Oh, okay.
We haven't, there's a lot of innovative things out there, like, mag chloride options that are like based on like natural polymers and all this stuff, but it seems snake oily.
Well, and you can't regenerate water that's not there.
Right, right.
so we're gonna just wheel that in. You're supposed to kind of talk to us when you're, you know,
Oh, I'm
addressing it. No, you're fine, Chuck, you're fine. We let you kind of go there a little bit. But do you have specific questions about his project that, like his public comment that would affect you or anything like that? Or were you just really more asking him questions about,
I was just trying to figure out what'll fly and what won't,
okay, perfect, that's fine, just so we have an idea too.
because someone else will ask the question, but
Sure.
I have a project that I wanted to get some answers.
Okay, so we
Thank you for
appreciate
your
your
time.
time, sir. You bet. Thank you, Chuck. Anybody else have any that has signed up? You're the last one. I mean, you know, I'm gonna look at you.
Not me.
John?
No,
Okay, you're the last one sitting there, hasn't talked. Okay.
I didn't sign up, so.
I know, well, I was just saying this was the time if you don't want to be left out. Okay. Any comments, online, Lance or Tony? Do you guys have any comments while we're, no? Okay, good.
No.
Okay, so we're now just gonna kind of talk amongst ourselves here just a few minutes. Somebody will make a motion or, you know, go from there, and then you'll kind of see how it ends out from here. I think you've been taking notes, Mr. Jacob,
Oh,
along,
yeah.
sir.
Just take-
Always do. We appreciate that.
The only things I kind of, you would want to plan to conditions. We specified 50-foot setback of the wedding venue from the river on the site plan as well. Keep a decibel log. We would add to condition 5. And there's two things that kind of I have questions about. Would be, do we condition installing signage? Be kind of, well, we haven't done that before, but you know, some of the the neighbors kind of wanted signage for both, you know, on the road, but then also property boundaries. And so I know it was a suggestion, he said he's working on it, do we want to make it a condition?
Well, I think with public comments, I think they were trying to eliminate a lot of signage. I think that was kind of part of it was that, is there a way to maybe have him be able to set boundaries with the people that come to his venue? To be more of an education, saying, okay, you know, we have some neighbors, this is your boundaries that we have here, and set boundaries set forth versus doing a bunch of signs, because I think then it kind of detracts from the person that goes out there that wants to see the sky at night and, you know, and they've got, you know, no trespassing signs and everything else. I think she's already got a couple of signs on her road already that say, you know, what about slow down? I mean, what's the speed out there? It appears that there's a,
That'd be more of a county, you know, yeah.
yeah, it's a county thing, but I'm just asking what the, is it like a 25, is it a 30, oh,
I don't know. Is there actual?
Is there a
speed
signage out there?
Come on.
Yeah, there's a speed limit sign. There's a.
John,
speed
you are
limit
gonna
out
talk,
there.
John. I saw your hand go up. Come on up here, sign up. You raised the other,
I have not seen the speed limit, and I know.
oh, you gotta tell me who you are and your address. You can't get away with this.
Jonathan Sylvester, 1922 Audubon Circle, Montrose.
Thank you.
I have not seen the speed limit sign. I know Google Maps defaults to 55, which is, it can't be 55. So I would recommend some type of signage for us outsiders.
Thank you. And would you be so kind,
I will.
since you did speak, John? I would love you to sign that for us, please, sir. Thank you.
Make that. Yeah. This has come up in public comment.
Yeah,
I think it would help with dust.
yeah,
I think it would help
Well,
with,
if people obey, yeah.
well, yeah.
Rick, maybe you could speak to this. What's the procedure for getting a speed limit sign?
The big thing is that this is the county road that is actually fee title as part of the roadway systems, or is this kind of a? Cause I'm confused that we maintain it, but it's.
It's public road, public. is
So it's a
maintained.
county road.
Yeah,
Basically in Colorado, they have what's called prima facie speed limits. So in other words, if it's not posted, any gravel road is.
Default to-
Default to the prima facie.
That's what I thought.
But I do believe that it should be within the county road and bridge to be able to post a sign with the prima facie speed limit.
right.
So that would just be a simple lookup. I believe it's 25 mile an hour for any kind of gravel mountain road is a standard for prima facie speed limits. And then it wouldn't be a matter of, it wouldn't need to be changed or lowered by, I don't think, Board of County Commissioners. This is prima facie. We're just putting up signage for what we're going off the state statute. So it could be a road and bridge thing.
Okay,
Okay.
I'll ask about the
Just
procedure.
a thought, I
and see
mean,
how we
sometimes
do it.
it's a visual, but.
It's not, I don't believe a condition you can put on the applicant. 'cause
No,
they're not-
you can't do it on the applicant, no. I'm just throwing it out there as a.
What else? What's it going?
Okay,
And then.
And with regard,
Sorry.
sorry, to
Okay.
other signage, say, for instance, you know, signage to point out where not to go and where to go. Along the county road, I don't think you can put private signage in the county road right of way.
no.
So that would have to be at the consent of a neighbor or something to put it on their private property. And then, but that's just signage along the road. Obviously, on their property where they're developing, they want to restrict guests from wandering off into neighboring property. They can put any signage they want, you know?
Huh.
And I don't know if that's something you could potentially condition. There's nothing that I know of in the land use code.
No, it's more of an education process, I think, more Sean, that, you know, if somebody comes to stay at the place, says, okay, you know, you kind of give them a boundary of, you know, let's be considerate, we have neighbors, kind of a boundary.
Yeah,
Okay,
And then my only other procedural question was, then how does the county decide when we have this increase in usage to change their methods for maintenance? Like, is that like an annual budgetary thing? Is it enough people complain and the county says, yeah, maybe we should up our game, or maybe not, you know, maybe just a
that's a
question.
good
for
question
later.
for road and bridge and engineering. I don't know the answer to that.
that was a
I
good
did
question.
pester them quite a lot about this road
Okay.
situation. I mean, you know, there's not a lot of density of residential density down there. You do have commercial operations and the orchards that are constantly using it. for bringing fruit out.
Right.
And then in this moment, they're in construction, so there's a lot of construction workers going back and forth.
Mhm.
And obviously, there's this big projected increase of use for guests. I don't really know what the criteria is that the county, engineering, road and bridge use to make, decisions about upgrading roads
Mhm.
or road surfaces or what.
Right. Okay.
It costs a lot of money, obviously,
Mhm.
to, what they did say again about chip and seal was that it's not appropriate to apply it to a gravel road. It wouldn't last and endure. The mag chloride seemed to be problematic in ways also that it wouldn't endure and that it would be graded off. These are things that they said to me. I'm not speaking
Yeah.
as somebody that understands or knows this, but I'm just relaying what the conversation went like. I think that they do, like I have got a report here of all the times they graded it in the last 4 years, and it's significant amount of times, significant hours and, labor costs and equipment costs that stack up. So at some point, they're gonna have to look at the cost benefit to doing other things,
Mhm.
But I don't know what that procedure is and,
Okay.
I don't think we could dictate to the road and bridge how often they have to go up there and fix the road.
I have requested though, they at least make a statement for this application and put it in writing so that everybody can be clear about what their position is.
Right.
And then we can document that.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions online? Did you hear what Jacob had kind of recapped for us?
Well, I'd like to see the stage 2 traffic study I think that would allow us to know how many visitors can go down there, what their occupancy would be, what CDOT says, because that kind of seems like it's the determining factor of what can or cannot happen.
And I think, Tony, there's already a CDOT level 2 traffic study that is it recommended or required, Sean?
It's required.
It's required, so
Well,
they've
it's
got
a-
one
it's a
that's required.
condition of approval.
But
Okay.
after,
CDOT is requiring it.
once you get that study back and they tell you what they will and will not allow, that answers a lot of questions, doesn't it?
Yeah,
think it
it
does.
will. It will.
And so I think
regardless,
we're putting the cart ahead of the horse here again without having all the information to make an educated decision on what we can or cannot do, what our recommendations are or are not, because we don't have a full picture.
the way it'll work is that it'll be applied as a condition of approval. That the level 2 traffic study needs to be completed according to CDOT requirements, and that they need to obtain a CDOT access permit from Highway 50 for the conditional use permit approval. And so
Right.
if they choose to like scale back, their use and the number of projected guests that they'll have for events and lodging so that they come somehow under the 20% increase, they can do that, and then they can get an access permit that way. Or if they work with CDOT and determine that some modifications can be made to the acceleration lane or deceleration lane or whatever, and they reach an agreement, they can get a access permit that way.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the condition reads that they have to get an access permit from CDOT.
So it's already in there is what he's trying to say, Tony.
Right. I understand all that, guys, but we don't know what that application or permit is going to say. So we don't know how many days they can, or how many people they can run at their facility right now per that CDOT access application, correct?
That's correct. I see what you're getting at.
So why don't we get that level 2 traffic study done? So we know what we can and cannot do and what we can and cannot recommend to the Board of County Commissioners.
He's met the other requirements.
Yeah, isn't that the other requirements? It's not really the land use, our purview's land use code and he's
Yeah.
met those parts of it.
Yeah.
CDOT wants to kill it, they can kill it and he'll come back to us in some other fashion, but if he's met all of our requirements, I'm okay to see it go through.
Yeah.
They can do what they will with it.
Were you able to hear, can you hear what Jacob's saying, Tony?
Not really.
Okay, so let me have him speak up a little bit so he can hear, because he's making some good points.
Essentially, our purview, as we always talk about, Tony, is the land use code. I feel like he's met kind of our requirements, and if, CDOT wants to kill the project, they can do that, and he'll come back to us that way, but I feel like, again, we're kind of meeting our stipulations, looking at it under the lens of the land use code, and that's kind of where I'm at. I don't feel the need to table it to wait on that level too. It's either gonna be dead in the water, or they can go forward. I don't think we'll have anything else that we could change on it.
I agree.
I think it'd just be nice to have all the information, that's all. Then we
Sure.
could make some real decisions on what we're doing.
Yeah, it is just poor timing because it came in this week.
No,
right?
I'm not arguing that fact, and I'm not saying we have to table his deal, but let's say he doesn't get a favorable thing from CDOT. The only reason I'm bringing the CDOT thing up is because I'm fighting another battle with them,
Mhm.
but they're not being very favorable right now. And it'd be
Sure.
just be nice to have that information so we could make a better recommendation. And I agree, he's met all the requirements, he's doing everything. I'm not a big floodplain person, so I think but that's a 100-year deal, so who knows? But the CDOT thing, I think it will, if we had that information in front of us and it was done, it'd be real easy to send this down the road, and it may ease the dust concerns of the neighbors and that, because they're not gonna have all these people in and out of there. They're only gonna have so many in a month and on and on. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
I'm not trying to kill the deal. I'm just saying it'd be nice to know what CDOT has in plan so we don't have to do this again later.
One way you could possibly look at this is that what's on the table, what's being proposed in this application for your recommendation is the maximum occupancy, the maximum use. And so if there were, some kind of, I don't know, determination by CDOT that required them to reduce it, it would be a reduced use. So if you recommended approval of this, anything that would be changed would be reduced from this.
That's right.
All right, so make the motion that way and let's go home. Oh, I'm already home,
I
but.
think you're already home. So
Well, I know,
Jacob,
but the wife's cooking in the background and dinner's ready.
all right, Tony.
thank you
we'll
for
get
rubbing it in, Tony. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay. Hey, here we go. Hold on.
I'd move to approve project 24-052 Honey Rock Landing with staff's recommended conditions, with the addition of these 3 conditions that we, 1, submit a parking plan including ADA parking. 2, indicate the 50-foot setbacks of the wedding venue from the river on the site plan. And 3, add the requirement for a decibel log on condition 5.
Okay, if they were to add the wedding site setback and the ADA parking stuff to the site plan, would we need to put that in the conditions? I mean,
So,
If it's on the site
not
plan.
necessarily.
yeah, I think that might be
It's
an
it's
easy way to
redundant,
handle it.
sure. So
Um,
do it that way, you will,
I'll make sure that that's done before the commissioner hearing.
sure.
We're getting a nod, okay?
Yeah.
All right.
And then just the requirement for the decibel log be included on condition 5.
Okay, and then number 9, I added again, is that it? Okay,
Yeah, that's okay.
it's really a
I think that was fine.
redundant requirement. It's
Mhm.
necessary for all developments in the floodplain anyway.
Yeah.
But it's explicit then because there are proposed developments in the floodplain.
That is correct.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a second. Angela, did you catch that?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 I have 2 eyes on the Lance
Aye.
and Tony, yes, right?
Yes.
Thank you. It's a little echo there. Perfect. Okay, so with that, we are sending you through the next level. We appreciate everyone's time. We appreciate the public comment this evening. And with that, we will up
One little note. that
one little note.
It's tentatively scheduled for October 7th for the Board of County Commissioners.
Oh, to help them out.
Yeah.
Okay. With that, we can close this meeting this evening. Any other comments?
We have partner.
But I mean, we can close there. That's what I'm getting at. So. Okay, thank you very much. We're gonna do some just report stuff that we have. Thank you all for your time this evening and your input. And again, as an applicant, it is so pleasurable to have this detail and you answered questions very thoroughly, and we appreciate that. Thank you.
That's all.
Thanks for your time this evening.
I'll make this brief, Tony. I know you're hungry.
No.
It's just nice. That'll work.
Ready?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
I mean, so, the next, PC, regular, meeting,
Mm-hmm.
we need to review battery energy storage system regulations.
Okay.
We've had a consultant working on these, to create them. He's a certified, planner, consultant. He's been researching the regs around the country, National Fire Protection Association standards and such. So they're very well along, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
And staff with emergency management and planning and county administrator, you know, have all been kind of touching this. Just to kind of get it ready for you to look at, and that's what we would like to do at the next planning commission.
Now, you said October, but our next one normally would be the 24th of September.
I'm sorry.
BOCC meeting is planned tentatively for October 7th for Honey Rock.
For
but-
Honey
Okay.
Yeah, our next planning.
Our next meeting is 24th. Okay, just want to make sure.
Can discuss that.
Thank you.
And so, we want to get those reviewed. There's a push to get them adopted into the land use code.
Okay.
So that, because people are going to be applying for battery energy storage systems.
I don't think they should even be allowed. Don't you see on the news all the time, these electric vehicles burning up?
Yep.
I wouldn't have one in my garage, even an e-bike.
There's a lot in the regs and mostly the regulations are about that kind of risk, you know, so yeah. But you'll have them, I'll give them to you as soon as I can next week, probably Tuesday or Wednesday, so you'll have a
Okay.
week to kind of go over. They're about
This 10 page.
I think 10 pages long. They talk about, siting and design, fire safety and water supply, employees, documentation, abandonment, emergency response, decommissioning, financial surety, all that kind of stuff, okay?
Okay.
So, the other thing is I've got a list of like minor land use code, revisions. They're just like little edits where the wording is kind of messed up or something. And, those will be for you to review. Telling you all this because I'm gonna bundle all that together. And I'm gonna propose it as a land use code revision, the natural medicine business. The regulations that you have approved, so not the things that the commissioners have added and asked for your feedback on, but the ones that you have said, for example, like the hours. I heard the planning commission say, we don't think we should regulate hours, right? So I will provide what the PC has provided in recommendation for the BOCC for natural medicine business. And I'll do the same for the battery energy storage systems after we review it. And then also, these little minor edits.
Okay.
So there's a bit of a hustle to try to get them to the commissioners to, either approve and adopt or make, recommendations for edits, and then it will come back to the PC for 30 days. You have 30 days to give feedback on the edits. You're more familiar with that process than I am, but I'm trying to get my head around how this is gonna roll. Yeah, like ping pong. But we want to bundle those three things, these little minor edits, natural medicine business and battery energy storage systems to make one revision to the land use code to get these things in there.
And are apps changing at all?
The maps, not yet, but that is,
It's one of the project.
I'm commissioned to do that, but I don't know what to do about the zoning maps, but.
Right.
I understand that they're messed up in places. I've experienced that. I don't know. I'm not sure what the approach is to that. All right, any questions?
Now, Angela, I would like to say this, though. I very much appreciate you reaching out to us well in advance to get people to, I think that really helps an applicant, and we're not at the last minute wondering if we're gonna have a quorum. I think that's very helpful. So thank you for doing that. Thank you very
Just so
much.
you know, don't be freaked out when you see the fast track, we reference a lot of NFPA. It's gonna be over our heads, and that's gonna be something we have to do with an independent consultant.
Yeah,
We have to use the NFPA because this stuff is way more technology than we can monitor
Right.
ourselves. You can see it a lot in the fast tracks.
can we do anything to have a better, I don't use the word grip, but like a better grip or understanding of that? And NFT, do we have anything that we have more of a,
Well, NFPA is online, you can download.
but I mean, that's the best thing to do is just go online and do it that way,
Yeah,
okay?
Will.
Okay,
I
and buckle up, because I'm sure it's,
already have accepted that it's over my
okay,
skill level. But understand that that reference is meant that we would have to have a consultant who's a specialist to observe and watch the NFPA part
Right.
of this.
Well, and, you know, right, we can have, you know, independent reviewers, we can contract them to
Right.
review plans that are submitted to us that
Sure.
are technical in this way. So that's written into these proposed regulations that,
okay,
you know, we want studies of where the plume is gonna go in the case of a, you know, thermal runaway
Right.
event, and all these things will be a part of the application package. And we won't review that, we'll pass that on to
That's
somebody
right.
that knows
Yeah.
what that means.
exactly.
Yeah.
Interpret, please.
Cause I know when I'm reading them, I'm going, man, I know the first thing that's gonna come out of me, we don't know NFPA, so I just want to get that out there ahead of
Right,
time.
let's get that right up front.
I want you to know that when you read it, this is meant to have a professional. That
Fair enough.
purpose.
We're also working with emergency management to form a local emergency planning committee at DPC, which would be a review agent, you know, review group that will review these types of, you know, development applications.
Okay, perfect.
It'll be composed mostly of emergency response people. But, yeah. All right.
Anything to add online? Are you guys good? I think Tony might have already left, but
I'm good. Thank you for letting me.
Lance, thank you so much for coming online today. We just needed to have that quorum, and we really appreciate you taking that time to do it, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll see you on the 24th. Okay, with that, I am gonna close this meeting. Fair enough? Okay, here we go. We are closed. Chuck, thanks for your time, sir, tonight.